Welcome to Super Agents Live. This is the one place where you can come and hear the most successful people in real estate. You'll hear how these super agents built their businesses, how they stay productive, and how they stay motivated. Who am I? My name's Toby Salgado, and I made my first million in real estate. And I'm your host for the next 30 minutes while we talk to yet another amazing real estate entrepreneur. Stay tuned.
Let's go! Yeah!
Hey everybody, what is up? Hey, I just got to tell you, man, this episode is super late. I apologize. Sorry about that. At least we're getting it out. Now look, here's the deal. Today's guest, we spend all about, the whole time, about hiring, right? Who you should hire, why you should hire out your weaknesses, when you should hire, how to hire, all this stuff, man. We get into disc profile. We talk a lot about my profile as well as hers. And look, she's got an interesting story, this girl. She's in Orlando. Her and her twin sister were left on a street corner in I think the Philippines. Left like they were little kids. Just got left, man. The cops found her, and then she got shipped off to Minnesota. Then she goes and gets a graduate degree. Very smart girl. Very interesting background. So again, we talk about hiring out your weaknesses, going and finding a partner for the areas that you're weakest, why you should know your disc profile. And we covered, some of the biggest mistakes realtors make. This episode's about productivity, happiness, influence, and look, just growing your biz. So that being said, here is the thing. Look, I have 2 VAs. I'm hiring a third one right now. Actually, I have 3 VAs. I'm hiring my 4th one. I have a deal. I know the Daniel Ramsey of my Outdesk. Him and I are buddies. Those guys out there, that's who I have my VAs with. They train all their VAs in real estate. They have people that manage them. It's a very, very easy process for you guys. So I know that hiring people and building out your team is a constriction point for a lot of you. And I haven't done this before, but I'm going to do it today. I didn't want to give them just a commercial because I don't want to bombard you guys with commercials like that. And everybody, so many people say, Toby, can you promote my product? And I don't do it. Because I don't want to dilute my content. Now, I am doing it today for my Outdesk for 2 reasons. 1, this episode was all about hiring. And 2, I want you guys to grow your business. And at the end of the day, you need to figure out how much your time is worth. If your time is worth $100 an hour, guess what? You should not be doing work that you can outsource for $100 or less, right? Some people say, hey, well, my time is worth, $500, $800. Well, guess what? You can outsource all that stuff, right? At the end of the day, maybe even, if you really think about it through that lens of outsourcing, if your time is worth more than what you can hire somebody out to do it, you shouldn't do it. You obviously don't change the oil in your car. That's a waste of time. Get it done at Walmart for $30. At the end of the day, should you guys be cleaning your house, doing your laundry, or even cooking your own meals? I would love to see all you guys say that your time is worth $800 an hour and then live that life. Because you know what? That's the life you guys want to live, right? You want to live in a life where, somebody else ironed your clothes. Somebody else chose your clothes. So look, let me help you get there. I told Daniel if I was going to do a commercial that he needs to give you guys a discount. Normally, there's a $500 onboarding fee, and he's going to knock almost $200 off that. He's going to give you $170 off. So by using my link, you're going to save $170. So here it is. It's myoutdesk.com, myoutdesk.com/superagentslive. Go there and fill it out. I'll just wrap this up real quickly with Real Estate Radio Experts. If you want to level up, go to Real Estate Radio Experts, fill out the Getting Started page, and let's chat. All right. Hey, let's get to it. On the show today, I'm thrilled and excited to talk with today's guest. Now, today's guest is in Orlando, Florida. She has a team of 11. Last year, she closed out 2014 with 156 transactions for $34 million in volume. I'm thrilled to welcome Amy Moline. Hey, Amy, thanks for taking the time out today.
Hi, Toby. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
So listen, we're gonna chat about a few things, but I know we're gonna dig into personality types and how your personality type will determine sort of what kind of agent, whether you're a listing agent or buyer's agent and all that. But before we get there, I always like to know a little bit about you. So take a minute,
Okay.
tell the audience a little bit about Amy.
Fabulous. Okay, so it's a very interesting story. I was actually born in South Korea, and I have a twin sister, and her and I were actually left on a street corner shortly after we were born, probably maybe 2 or 3 months after. And then the police found us, and they actually brought us to an orphanage where we stayed for probably another 9 months. And then some fabulous people in Minnesota wanted to have a couple babies, so they adopted both of us, where I was, of course, raised in Minnesota. And then I did my undergraduate at the University of Wisconsin in speech pathology and audiology. And from there I went to counseling, master's degree in counseling in Illinois. And then my first 8 years out of grad school was at a homeless shelter where I counseled hundreds, thousands of people who are homeless.
That is an amazing story.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
Craziness.
Everything. I've seen everything there.
Wow. It's interesting. So speech pathology and audiology, I actually, so I'm in San Diego, and we wanted to run my son through, get him tested from an audiologist. And literally, we have one, and I could not hire her because she works for the school system, and she didn't do any private work. And I ended up getting her, but it was crazy. It's crazy that there was just one of these people.
Yes. Yeah, they changed a lot of the laws probably a couple decades ago, so it's harder to become an audiologist and practice audiology.
And the testing was really, really interesting.
Yes.
So look, you have this. I know we want to talk about personality types, but you have this. You have a graduate degree. You're obviously a very smart person. Why did you train for audiology and speech pathology and then move into real estate?
Well, I would say it's probably like the rest of us. I would say the majority of realtors, we're not growing up thinking, oh my gosh, I want to be a realtor. That's something that's definitely not on our radar. So it kind of just falls into our laps. And so, I just loved ears and hearing and helping people communicate. That's what that's all about. And then the counseling aspect, of course, is just helping people figure out what they need to do in their life to become better. Mm-hmm. So at the homeless shelter during 2004, 2005, they were getting all these properties donated, just like 10, 20 properties donated in a year, and they didn't know what to do with them. And at that time, I had started investing in real estate myself, and so I had a couple real estate properties or investment properties. And so they started asking me questions, and I just found myself loving it more and more. And so I thought, maybe I should try doing this instead. Yes. And I'm glad I did.
Right,
I wasn't making very much money doing that.
No, right, I know. But I'm sure from a economic viewpoint, real estate is much better than being a speech pathologist. But
Well, that depends.
Okay.
Right? That depends on who you are and how well you're doing.
That's right. You're totally right. You're right. But your background, like your heart, you're a helper.
Yeah.
So I guess this steps us into understanding your personality and where that fits for you. And look, and let me just I want to give you a nudge, and I'm sure you don't need one, but I talk about this on the show a lot. So my disc profile, I'm 99D, 99I, 34S, 34S, 34C. So for me, my personality, I'm certainly, I don't have patience to be a buyer's agent. I'm certainly bent towards a listing agent. So, in terms of DISC or Myers-Briggs, or tell us your thoughts on personality and the type of business you should build.
So I think ideally, most realtors, if they knew that they could do it, would definitely build the team. So I think the number one thing is, it's important that everybody understands and knows their personality. And a lot of people won't take the time to do it. I would say a high D, a high I, that's going to be harder for them to do it because that's just not, their makeup isn't like that. Their driver gets in and they just want to go, 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 go. I don't think it's as complicated as people think that it is. They just need to take the time to actually do it.
Yeah.
So like for me, I'm a high S. I'm a high S, and then from there I'm a high I. So SI, my D is probably about 45%.
Okay.
And my C is about 5%.
Interesting.
So the first hire I made was a high C.
Okay.
Like 100% C.
Yeah.
Because I knew I didn't have that. And that doesn't mean that if you are a high I with a lower D that you hire a high D. That doesn't necessarily mean that, but for the high S and the high C, of course, they are better at organizing. And so a high D and high I definitely need that probably right off the bat.
Right. Okay. Now hold on. Before we get to that, maybe for people who don't know what DISC is, maybe you could quickly
Sure, of course.
DISC.
So the DISC inventory, that's been around for decades. It's interesting that Keller Williams picked it up as an inventory to use, and there are many, many inventories out there. It helps. So the DISC is an acronym, and the D stands for, it's like a driver personality. So you're kind of a go, you want to be number one, you're type A. You just want to go and do it. Just go do it, be number one, and life is great.
And there's
but
so the D for driver, it's also sort of a dominance.
It is very dominant.
Okay.
Yes, that's a type A dominant personality. For the I, that's an influencer. And so the influencer is somebody who can persuade anybody to do anything. That might be the cheerleader. That might be the person who can talk. They have great conversations. They love to be around people. If you know the Myers-Briggs, then that's typically the extroverted person who just wants to be out there and talk and be around people.
Right. The life of the party. The
life of the party.
Gregarious
definitely,
guy. Yeah.
Definitely. And then you've got your S, and they're kind of more safety. They're really big with systems. And they want everything, I don't want to say organized. It's organized in their head. So they might not be organized in what they're doing with their paperwork and their leads or their transactions, but they know it, they just want to follow it. They want to feel safe. Mm-hmm. They want to save the money. They want to go slow. They just want to make sure they have all their ducks in a row before they're moving forward with anything.
Okay.
That's a safety person. And then the C person they're very conscientious and they're very detailed. They're the people who they'll read over every contract and make sure everything is perfect. And, they can't just write anything on a contract. They prefer to type it, and they'll spend the extra time to do that. They're the detailed people. They love to organize. They love to file. They love to do a lot of things that many of us hate doing and aren't good at doing.
Complete opposite of me. You should see my office right now.
Oh,
it's
me too.
Wreck.
Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah.
So I think there's a couple things. One is, hiring for where you are, or partnering for where you are weak, or what you don't possess. Weak's not the right way to say it. And secondarily, I have to think, Amy, that most agents don't treat selling real estate as a business, and that's a problem.
Definitely.
And if you're going to start a business, what that means is you're an entrepreneur. And what that means when you go out and say, hey, look, I'm just going to work for commissions, that's risk. So a DI, for example, is maybe okay, much better with risk than an SC, or certainly an S. Yes. So
I would agree with you.
Yeah. So is there, in terms of just pulling the trigger and going full time in real estate or something, are there certain personalities that have a harder time with that?
Yes, definitely. So if you're a high S or a high C, in general, you're going to have a harder time with building your business. And that's mostly because you are going to be doing things that are comfortable. So all of us, we always lean towards things that are most comfortable. And we know this. So if you are most comfortable doing things by yourself, and that could be because you don't trust somebody or because you don't feel like you have the money, which is typically the reason people will not make their first hire, is they're too scared about losing the money. What's going to happen if I don't really close the sales, and what happens if I can't really afford to pay this person anything?
Right.
So, there's a lot of creative ways to do it, but yes. That's probably the biggest mistake that most realtors make is they don't make that first hire, or they make sometimes I guess the wrong hire, but typically they just don't hire anybody when they really need to hire somebody.
So, in your background, right? I mean, what are some of the challenges? I don't exactly know how to approach this or ask you the right question. So I'm going to really lean on you to drive this. But what are some of the challenges with being a DI or being an SC or I'll just leave it like that.
No, I get it. So with the DI, the biggest challenge is listening and stopping and just taking the time. Like for processes and procedures, it just, for them, it just will come off. It's just going to come into your head. We need to do this, and you just want to do it.
Yeah.
So if you want to try to explain it to me, it's going to be very hard for you to do that. And I'm going to want to know why. Like, okay, Toby, what do you want, and why do you want this?
Yeah.
And you will not want to answer the question why.
No.
you hate that. So the D is going to frustrate the typical SRC because they're always going to want to know why and how and walk me through this, and you won't have the patience for it. So that's something that you have to train yourself to do. And what's going to happen is you'll go through a lot of assistants and a lot of people because you're not taking enough time for them because you're always go, go, go. You're like this whirlwind that comes in, oh my gosh, do this, and like you can't do that. You will lose your staff.
Right. So with, and I don't want to focus just on me, on my
No,
profile,
I'm not. I can go through everybody. Sure.
Okay, yeah, go. And I just want to say, like, so I want to support what you just said. I do go through people. I mean, my first VA, I fired the first day. The second VA, I fired her 2 weeks after. And here's what I did. And maybe this is a mistake in your mind. So what I did was I before I hired somebody, I made them take the disc, and I looked at it, and I said, I want somebody like me. And I hired those people, and it's actually it's worked great.
It's worked great for you to hire people like you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, is that typically not? I mean, is that typically?
That's not typical.
Okay.
But so here's my question: is everything running at 100%? Are you happy with everything?
Yeah. Well, and look, here's let me clarify that. So I have 3 VAs. I have one VA who is an assistant. A research girl, and she is she's just a research girl. So I just put her on a task. She's probably SC, and I just say, hey, do this. I'm very clear, and she does it. Okay, but the two people.
So she is SC.
She is SC. The two.
Okay, so you hired right there. Okay.
Okay, and then the 2 people. I have 2 people. I have one person booking guests. He's more like me, DI, and then I have another person as an inside sales rep working on our radio stuff, and she is very similar. I forget it, but she's very similar to me as well. It's not as much D. I mean, certainly levels down from my 99. Okay.
Well, so that's good because you're hiring people who need to do sales and they need to talk to people. Okay. So the 2 people who are talking to people need to typically it's better for them to have a high I or even a high D. That's okay.
Okay.
So you hired with their personality fits whatever you're asking them to do.
Right. Okay. Is that a mistake that you see? Do you in terms of hiring, what are some of the mistakes that some of those personality types make?
Well, so it's important to understand it's more than just the disc profile or the Myers-Briggs or anything else. There's so much more to look at. So when you're getting the resume, so one of the things that we do is we actually have instructions on whatever, if we're putting an ad out, we have instructions what they need to do. You need to email us this. Give me the reason why you want to be in real estate. So number 1, I'm going to find out, can they read and write? Can they follow direction? And are they even passionate about the industry? That's number 1. Okay. And then, of course, they need to send us their resumes. When you're looking through resumes, I mean, you don't want to hire somebody who just says the right things. They have to show you that they've got the history behind what they're doing. So that's how you are successful in hiring is you can look at the resumes and you can see their history of success. Okay. And so don't even bring them in if you can't see that. 3 years consistently changing a job is not a history of success. Right. Every year changing a job is not a history of success. You're not going to have that. So it's important to look at those things. But personality does make a difference, and it's the first thing that you need to do is know who you are and what you're okay with. And a lot of people just have a hard time doing that.
Got it. Okay. So I've talked with some people who are, again, on the SC bent, and
Yes.
what I've told them is, they're not necessarily great salespeople. They're not going to close
Definitely.
somebody. So
Definitely.
for those people, I would say, you need to your marketing materials need to be good, because that needs to be the sales voice for you rather than you
Correct.
yourself.
Yes.
So
What was the question?
I didn't have one. I was just
I'm
just
sorry.
talking, and I was hoping you would take off on something.
Well, okay, so I'm very introverted, so a lot of times, like, my introversion is inside my head. So the thoughts that are going through my head right now are, okay, so, yeah, like, that's a challenge. So the person who might do marketing, if they're a high I, they might not be so great with the graphic design portion. You're probably going to have an introverted person doing that, except, honestly, go hire a marketing person.
Yeah.
Or outsource it. That's what I would do.
So should we?
I would say that. Pardon?
Go ahead. Sorry.
On our team, we have somebody who does it, and he's awesome, but he's not trained in it. So I think that there are some limitations to that. And typically, who do you hire first? You're going to hire some admin. You're going to hire a closer. Maybe you're going to bring on a buyer agent, but your marketing person is probably going to be somebody that you're going to be hiring later down the road. The unfortunate part is you need that person right away, but you're not going to go hire somebody for that. So I would say outsource it. If you can find somebody who writes copy, outsource it. It's less expensive. And typically, because that's all they do. They're probably going to produce something that's better than what you're going to do, or maybe some of your admin are going to do.
Okay, so tell me, give me your profile again, so I can.
I'm SI, then about 45% D, and probably 2% C.
Okay. That's amazing. So if I look at the C, which is conscientious, you enjoy your independence, you have, objective reasoning, you want details, you're scared of being wrong.
Correct.
How has and your goals are, you want to be correct, you want to be stable,
Right. Yes.
What are some of the challenges that you've experienced with this SID and low C? What are some of those challenges, and how did you overcome them?
Okay, so I think that the way you overcome your weaknesses, and we all have them, is you have to hire people who are better than you. I mean, you have to. So I know you want to hire people like you or similar to you, but you just have to try to hire people who are better. And it's hard to do that because we all have our ceiling of leadership, correct?
Yep.
Right? So if you have a ceiling of leadership, you need to understand where you fall and where you're at. And how do you do that? Well, you need to read. You need to read more on leadership and how you can become a better leader. And you need to take the time out to do that. So I have a real estate partner. His name is Christopher Bissett. And so when I first met Chris, he was not a reader. In fact, he barely even read anything. So I gave him some of my top books right away, and he started reading. And now today, we've been in business together about 6 years. And every morning before he even starts his day, he reads 15 minutes. Just 15 minutes. And just by doing that all together, I mean, you become better when you're learning from other people.
Yeah.
You can't do it by yourself. So, learning. All of us need to be learning based.
100. You're a Keller Williams person. So we've had Dave Jenks on the show, and
yes, he's fabulous.
Yeah, he is good.
Yeah.
He was actually, I'll tell you what, he was actually my first interview ever for this show.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I was a little bit nervous. But that's what Dave's thing. Dave is all about, hey, you need to be learning based.
You have to be.
So what happens with somebody who is a C, for example? One of the things that, regardless of your profile, you need to let go and delegate. Right,
yes,
letting go is so hard for people.
It's really hard.
How do people learn to do that?
Well, so you need to make sure that you're taking the time to write clear and concise instructions.
Okay.
And a clear and concise job description. So this is what happens. We bring on somebody new, and it could be your first transaction coordinator, it could be your first listing manager, whoever it is, and you just basically say, this is what I do. Just call these people and update them with what's happening with the feedback, or call them and just do this. And you're not writing anything out, and they love lists. And if you don't have a list, then you ask them to write the list and have them shadow you and write everything step by step what you do.
Got it. So,
Yes.
with your profile, because I think, this SIDC, I think that's probably, well, look, I don't know if you know this. Let me ask you. So if you looked at a sample, 1,000 people,
Yeah.
100 people, is there a general cluster? Like, is there a typical type? And what is that?
There is. Well, so, it's interesting that you said that because some of it's based on production. So you might have a lot of people who have teams, and the majority of those people are probably a DI.
Okay.
And it's because the issue with the DI is the DI is going to go and get it. Where even though you have processes and procedures, so the person who focuses on processes and procedures more than just going and doing what you need to do, calling people, they're always going to lag behind. They will always lag behind because they're not doing the action that's required. Whereas a D, they just act.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they just do it. And the person who's focusing on the other stuff, they're not doing it. They're figuring out how to do it first before they actually do it.
Right. I'm very much ready, fire, aim.
Yes. So you'll always be ahead of the game. However, long term, maybe 20 years out, 30 years out, in terms of size of team, that typically tends to be not a high D. That can sometimes become the higher S. There's typically a higher C involved as well. They're not SC only. There's definitely D and I in there, but the D's aren't always the winner for that.
See, that's an interesting point, and because of this, and I want to share this with the audience. So if you look at the world of venture capital, for example, right? So you have the entrepreneur, the founder personality. And there's always a point where, the founder is a certain personality type. They go out, they have an idea, they slap it all together, and they go and get some traction, create some, or raise a venture capital round. And then what happens 1, 2, 3, 4 years down the road, that person gets replaced with a professional manager.
Yes.
Which in those professional managers are not the founders. I mean, that's why it's so unique with Zuckerberg, that he founded Facebook and he still is able to run it, even being a public company. That's really, really odd.
Yeah.
With your personality, talk to us about the steps that you took to get to, and now, you didn't tell us, how long have you been in real estate, Amy?
So I've had my license since 2005, but actually practicing full time since 2007.
So, oh my gosh. So you jumped into it in 2007, right? Again,
yeah, it was an awesome time.
Yeah, great time. So it was
great.
You being this, S for safety, that had to have been a steadiness, safety, whatever.
Yes.
You have been pulling your hair out in 2008 and 2009.
Yes, I was. So I spent many days, well, not many, but I definitely spent a few days on my couch crying.
Poor thing.
Thinking, what am I doing? How am I doing? Where am I going? What do I need to do
What
next?
have I done?
What have I done? And I'm sure all of us have experienced that.
Yeah.
And thankfully, I had some investment property that I had sold prior to the crash.
Okay.
So I wasn't broke, but I was on my way to becoming broke.
Yeah.
So the first thing I did was I got a coach. The number one thing anybody can ever do is they need to get a coach. Because what happens is that the coaches have an idea of what's happening, they know what you need to do, and all you need to do is listen to what the coach tells you to do. So I've had a great coach. I was actually coached with Brian Buffini, not with Brian Buffini, but with Buffini and Company, that was fabulous. And so I did that for several years. And then, of course, they helped me with hiring my first assistant. And so I didn't have a lot of money to hire the assistant full-time. So what I did is I did a sliding scale where the first 3 months that she was with me, I actually paid her like $1,000 a month on salary. And then I gave her like 40% of my commission for those first 3 months.
Oh, wow.
And in the second quarter, I increased her salary and decreased the percentage of what she was getting for my commission. And so by the end of the year, I had her completely on salary.
Got it. That's
so
interesting.
I was very creative, and so what I needed to do to bring her on, and she was amazing. She was amazing. She had worked for another realtor in the past. She knew the business like the back of her hand. And when I brought her on, you have to share your vision. You need to know what you're doing. You need to know where you're going. You need to, if you think that you want to be the number one in your area or the number one in the region or whoever you want to be, you just need to decide that, and that's what you share with your people.
So in terms of getting a coach, right? I mean, the world is melting in '08.
Yes.
You're not broke, but you're on your way to being broke.
Yes.
That you took a leap of faith to hire.
Oh my gosh,
a coach.
definitely. Yes, definitely. I remember my first coaching call. This is what she said to me, Amy, where are you at? I'm like, well, I don't really know because I'm kind of new and I don't know what I'm doing. And she asked me, well, how many do you have in our contract right now? And I said, well, I have one. And she's like, well, and how many do you have in your pipeline? I said, oh, I've got 2 buyers. And then I said to her, that's good, right? And she was fabulous because she said, oh, my gosh, that's amazing, Amy. Good job.
Oh, how funny. How funny.
Oh,
and what did you for coaching? I mean, this is a little bit off our topic, but
It's okay.
What did you get out of that? Was it accountability? Was it systems? Like, what did you learn from your coach?
So from coach, definitely accountability. So the first thing she told me was you need to go get your database together. Is that together? No, it's not together. I mean, I know realtors in our office who don't have their database together.
That's
Are you
crazy.
sending something to your database consistently every single month? And the majority of them are not.
Yeah.
That's the number one fault in most realtors. You need to go do that.
That is like 101. I mean, why?
It's super 101.
Why is it? Do you think that agents don't sit down and just put together a list, even if they don't have a CRM, put it on Google Docs and and start calling? Why are people making that same basic mistake over and over again?
So I would say that's their lack of S and C, or
Okay.
S and C. Yeah. So, for example, our office brought in a bunch of agents from another office. And so they all asked me, Amy, can you do a series of classes on how to be successful? And so I did a 4-week class. And on the first class, I talked about the importance of your database. And I said, your only homework is to go pick out a database, just put, 30 people in because it takes a long time to get it all ready. And then I said, and you need to write some note cards and do that. And I can tell you that everybody came back, and I think one person did just a small percentage of the homework assignment out of like 50 people.
Mm. So you got that. You hit the mark with that group. Yes,
definitely. So only one person did it.
Oh, only one person did it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Only one person did it. So I mean, that's a competition. So like it's easy to be successful. You just need to do what you need to do.
Yeah, man. It's so much of it is just suit up, show up, and answer your phone. That's it.
Yes, and for all the people listening, like, you can do amazing things, and there's business out there for all of us. I want everybody to succeed because it's possible. It's highly possible. You just need to do it. You need to get some focus. You need to focus on one thing at a time, and then you just need to go do it.
You're good, Amy. Are you currently a coach or no?
I am not a coach right now. No, not currently.
Is that
to my team, I am.
Yeah, right. I mean, are you? But is that on your radar? Though?
That's interesting that you asked that, because I've thought about possibly in the future. Definitely, I think maybe on a larger scale. Probably not personal coach in real estate, but maybe I can see myself maybe on stage one day, but not. I don't know. I counsel the. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. I'm open. Let's say that.
Well, I'll bet you after this airs that you're going to get some calls going, oh, Amy, can you coach me? I guarantee
oh my gosh, I would
it.
love that. I would do
it
it in a heartbeat. Yeah.
Okay, good.
I just know that people's potential is so much more than anybody realizes. All of you listening, you can do better than you can even imagine. I was in a class with Gary Keller, and this is what he said. He said the majority of people overestimate how they're going to do in the beginning of their career. So, that's the realtor who comes on and says, oh, I'm going to make $100,000 and it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
And all of us in the back who have been doing it for years say, okay, good luck. We'd love it if you did, but it's harder than you think. And Gary Keller said, but people underestimate how well they're going to do long term. Mm. And so this is a time game. So, you're in it for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. And if you can stick in there and weather some of your storms, you're going to do great. You just have to hang in there and just do what you need to do and get your stuff together.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. And as I shared with you and the audience knows, for 2015, we're taking this more geographic approach. And what I'm finding a couple things. I'm finding one, the people that lead their local markets, when I get in there and I say, hey, look, how long you've been in the business, blah, blah, I'm hearing like, 20 years, 30 years. And then, but here's the deal. And then I get into what they're doing, in terms of marketing, and they're doing nothing. And I'm like, you are prime time for somebody to disintermediate you. I could take you out in a heartbeat, or not a heartbeat. I could take you out in 12 months if I got in and I started competing against you.
So you think that?
No, I'm not talking about you. Oh, yeah.
No, I'm talking about you.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do for sure.
Oh, that's interesting that you think that.
Why?
What's the reason you think that?
Well, because again, if I think it's all about casting a net, right? So if you have an audience,
definitely.
So so what you said earlier was people don't have a database, and if they do have a database, they're not talking to it monthly. So So I know how to quickly build database. I mean, I'm an internet marketer at heart. I know that stuff, and realtors don't think like that. So I would come at this as an internet marketer. I would quickly build a database, and I know how to write copy, know how to communicate with that database. I would, and plus, I am addicted to risk. I mean, we're going to hopefully, I'll meet you at that dinner this weekend and I'll tell you my background, but I've done 6 companies. They've all been, 4 have been extremely successful. And 2 have been flops, and they were consumer facing ones. Anyhow, but so I know how to do it. So I'm whatever. So yeah, I do think that. And maybe that's my, maybe
that's good. It's a great attitude. It's a great attitude. I love it.
So
you have to believe that you're going to succeed, and you have to believe that you can get out there and do it, or you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, you have to, you have to believe it in your bones that you're going to succeed, and that will make you, spend money that you don't have money to spend, just like you did, whether that's, investing in radio, sell your car, buy a beater, and, and drop it on print advertising, whatever it is.
Yes.
So in terms of that, so we know you got to a point where you hired your assistant, and how creative you got in terms of paying her. What was the next things that you did with your SIDC?
So the next thing I did was I hired a buyer agent, because at the end of the day, most of us know or understand, and some of us may not, but when you're working with buyers, I can manage 8 listings to 1 buyer.
Yeah.
So if I can manage 8 listings to 1 buyer, then why am I spending all this time with buyers? Because that means I'm losing out on the other 7 sellers. So so at one point, I would guess that the majority of people in the beginning of their career are typically only working with buyers. And of course, selling a house, I think, is a little more advanced than just helping buyers, because you need to kind of know both sides. So get a buyer's agent and stop putting people in your car and taking hours out of your day.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. So at what point, tying this in.
Oh, okay. I can, sure. Okay. Yeah. So between 18 to 25 transactions, you should be thinking about hiring an assistant easily. Yep. Definitely.
Yep.
Must do that. So assuming that you've done that all perfectly and great, then when you're hiring your buyer agent, so your assistant's going to actually help you to double your transactions. So typically you'd go from 25 to 50 easily with an assistant. And so probably around 30, 35, you should be giving the people the lower end leads that you don't want to work, or you can use the showing assistant model. Some realtors are doing that right now as well. Yep. We're testing it out right now on our team. So I've been paying new realtors $100 just to go show houses for the day. Licensed agents
for the day.
For the day.
Okay.
$100 for the day.
Great.
They don't get anything at the end. They only get $100 for the day.
Done.
And so get them under contract after shelling out, $200, $300.
Right.
And you're bringing in the commission yourself.
Brilliant.
And it works and it's a win-win, because for them, they're so excited just to have the opportunity to even show a house to anybody. I mean, and there's people in our office that'll say, Amy, oh my gosh, I'll help you for free. I'm like, no, you're not going to help me for free.
Right.
That's ridiculous. But no, it's a win-win, because they're out there. And of course, you want to pick people who can talk to people.
Yeah.
There's some minor, interview process you have to have there. But yeah.
and so what? I mean, because look, here's the problem. I might blow your deal because I'd be if I was excited, for example, and I was I'm going to show Amy's houses. I would be like, I'm going to close this person. I'm going to close this deal for Amy. I'm going to, I'm not going to just show it. I'm going to get this under contract.
Yeah.
What kind, if you're going to do that, what disc are you looking for with that? Do you want the DR? Or do you want an I? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And if there is a D, that's okay. And I understand that person's going to want to try to close it, and that's okay. But before you go take them out, I'm going to be saying to you, Toby, I'm super excited that you're going to help these people out, and I'm so excited to give you the opportunity, and I appreciate you helping. And when you're out there, if they like the house, just call me right away.
Got it.
And then I'll take over. So you're already giving them the steps
some
to
direction.
take if they yes.
So for you, right, so you said 18 to 25, hire that assistant, give them the lower quality leads. Now, how are you, for again your personality, what were you doing? And certainly you were working your database.
Yeah, definitely.
What else were you doing to drive leads for that person, for you?
So if you've got listings, you've got leads. Because if you've got listings, and of course we're in a market where we had a lot of short sales, and something really interesting in our market is we have, and I don't know all the markets if they have this, but we've got something called AWC that we have on our MLS. So the minute if a short sale goes pending, it can stay AWC, active with contract, until all the contingencies are cleared, which means it shows up on Realtor.com as active for 3 months. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's the first time I've heard of that. I mean, I don't know why that would.
Well, so this is what happens when I typically would go pending with a contract. It goes pending and it comes off of Realtor.com. It comes off of Zillow.
Yep.
But if it stays active, then guess who's going to be looking at that house for 3 months?
Right.
So the buyers are going to be flooding in off of one of my listings.
Got it. That's smart. Yeah.
Right. So what we did is, that AWC feature was not with us for the first few years I was in real estate. And when I heard about it and I realized that it would stay active on Realtor.com and everything, we switched over all of our pendings to AWC.
Got it.
That means you still have to show them, but what it does is it, of course, opens up all of your more buyers, more and more buyers.
And that's why. Sorry, Gamey.
No, that's okay. So one listing typically you should be able to capture one buyer off of each listing that you have. But for us, I mean, we could capture, 5 to 10 buyers off of a listing because of that.
Right. Well,
so leverage everything. Make sure your name is Realtor.com is the easiest way to get business when you have listings. Pay the extra money for the featured listings that you can have on your Realtor.com listings, and then you'll get more leads for that as well.
Great, that's a great tip. And by the way, that's why people were commonly say, well, geez, why is the data on Zillow not right? That house got sold. Well, they're just driving leads or driving more people.
Yeah, of course, we understand that. Yeah, absolutely.
You understand it. I don't think everybody understands that.
Oh, okay, yes. So the only website that is actually directly linked to MLS is Realtor.com. And then most everybody else feeds off of Realtor.com, Zillow, Trulia, a lot of the other websites. So when we change something in MLS, it does not change. It will change in Realtor.com, but it will not change with everything else. And that's, of course, a marketing ploy for the other companies.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. So for what is, in terms of marketing or advertising, what are some of the things that you did to get those, 18 deals, 18 listings?
Sure. So right from the beginning, because I was close with Buffini, they always preach and practice the client appreciation program. And so I did that right away. So I called everybody. I don't just put people on a list, but I sent the newsletter. I was really big with note cards. And then I started having client parties, and I started having movie nights. So once a year, we have our annual movie night where we invite our entire sphere, to the movies, and we tell them to bring a family member or a friend, and we also invite them to bring their entire family. So some people might bring 10 people, some people might bring 8 people. So like this last year, In 2014, we had almost 500 people at our movie night. It was like four.
Whoa!
Yeah, it's a lot.
And
huge.
Yeah, huge. That's a
Huge.
big group. How? Well, I mean, like, what do you do? Do you rent out a movie theater?
Yeah, we move out. We rent out 2 movie theaters. We were at one for the longest time, but last year we switched over to 2. And so then we typically try to do like a Marvel comic. The Marvel comics always seem to come out right around April and March. And so we usually typically do one of those, and then we do a kid movie. Like that last year we did the Muppets.
That would be...
But it's great. Somebody always needs to buy or sell a house from that. Always.
For sure. That is such a great idea. I think, we have, I'm here in San Diego, so we have only one drive-in theater. But if you could, I don't know how much it would cost to rent out the drive-in theater. And, there's 2 screens. You have one screen for the kids, the other screen for the adults. Yeah. But it'd be really cool to, if the movie's going to start at 7, for example, have everybody show up at 5, right? And have a big barbecue. Like that could be a great time.
That's fabulous. Yeah, it's fabulous. And that's how you build relationships. And why are people referring business to you? Because they feel like you care about them.
Right. So in terms of caring, and we have to start wrapping up. You've been fun to talk with, but so in terms of caring and your background with speech pathology, working with homeless, I'm sure you want to give back. I'm sure you want to help people.
Oh, always. Definitely.
Right, but is that a problem for you? You get into. You get it, people learn your background, you're selling their house, and they call you up and they're all like, hey, Amy, right, I'm having problems with my husband or my wife.
That's actually really funny because, yes, it does happen.
It has to.
And I tell them, oh, you're so lucky I'm a counselor, too.
Right.
I won't even, you're not even going to get paid for charged for this. Yes, it can. I am not somebody who attracts lots of craziness in my life. That's not something I do. I don't, of course, advertise. Oh, I'm a counselor as well. So if you need marriage counseling, I can help you. But certainly, I would say. So when I first started at the homeless shelter, I remember one of the directors who interviewed me. She said to me, "Amy, if you can counsel homeless people, you will be able to do anything. You will be able to get anybody to do anything if you can get homeless people to help them get back on their feet." And she was right. She was right.
Wow.
There's just patience that's involved with all of that and understanding, and you won't be taken advantage as a counselor. You won't, because you learn how not to do that.
Yeah. Was that a hard thing?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a giving guy as well, and I feel like sometimes I give, and I go, holy crap, I just got myself into this thing because I've agreed to it, and
you learn the hard way. That's education is expensive.
Yeah, it is. I'm in some deals right now that are literally, long-term deals. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, look, I bought a house for my dad. And I let him live in there, and then all of a sudden he moves this girl in, and I said, "Look, man, I'm not.
Awesome.
That's not the deal that we did."
Yeah.
And now, now I'm stuck in the situation of what do I don't want to. I'm helping him retire. I'm not going to help some other lady retire that I don't know. Yeah. And I feel like
can you put the house in your? Oh, is the house in your dad's name?
No, it's in my name.
Oh.
So.
Oh well, then okay. So you know what? You're helping your dad. You're helping her. That's just what it is. Sorry. Yeah, sorry about that.
I know. I go through. I
have to.
I have a couple drinks and I go. You know what? I'm just going to evict both of them, and then I wake up.
But how would you do that? How is that possible? Like how are they going to take advantage of you other than maybe they're not going to pay rent?
No, he doesn't pay. He doesn't pay rent. He doesn't.
So then what does it matter? So what does it matter then that she's even in the house?
Well, here's the deal, and we're way off topic now. Look, he wasn't. He didn't spend a ton of time with me as a kid, and I have 3 kids. So I'm like, I said, listen. In my mind, I'm like, you know what? I'll give you an opportunity to be the grandpa, right? That you weren't as a dad. And so now he spends all his time with this person, and so all of a sudden, like the reason why I even bought the house for him, like it's not working out. What I wanted to get out of it for my kids, I'm not getting out of it.
So you know what the next step is?
What?
Sell the house. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's an option.
It is. So look. So again, we have to start wrapping up. I'm going to ask you the same 3 questions I ask everybody, Amy. So here's the first one.
Excellent.
Who has been a mentor to you?
So I had a woman in college that was kind of my mentor, and she always told me that I could do anything and just to believe in myself and I could do it. Amazing. And then she died. She died when I was 25.
Oh, my God.
Of cervical cancer.
Oh, jeez.
And she was maybe 30. She was amazing. She was amazing.
And how did that relationship start? I mean, did you seek her out as a mentor, or was it just organic?
I didn't. She sought me out. We met at an organization, whatever, in college, and she sought me out afterwards and said, "You know what? I like you. There's something about you I like. Let's come over for dinner." And so I went over there for dinner, and she said, "I do like you." She's like, "I think we should hang out every week." And I said, "Okay."
And was she older, or was she similar?
She was older. She was about 5-7 years older.
Just somebody who took an interest in you. That's great.
Yeah, it was really neat.
It was fortunate for you. So I always ask for a book recommendation, but knowing that you're a Keller Williams, none of Gary's books. I wasn't even thinking of one of his. Okay, so here's the setup. I'm an aspiring agent. I have $25. What book should I go buy today?
Oh gosh, $25.
$25. If you have one that's more expensive, that's okay.
There's this one called The Magic. It just came out.
Huh.
It's newer, and it's all like there's homework involved. So you have to do things with it. But it's all about gratitude and getting yourself in the zone where you're in a place where you're attracting good things for your life.
And who wrote that, Amy? Do you know?
I don't remember.
It's not The Magic. It's not The Secret. Paperback. Rhonda Byrne.
I might have been the same person who wrote The Secret.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, look.
But it is really, really, really amazing. It's so good.
I will check it out.
Yes, just for mindset. Because what do you need to have when you have $25? You need to figure out. You need to get yourself in a good place in your head. Right. You have to have that.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Get yourself in a good place. Yeah.
So listen, everybody, if you've not read The Magic and you want to, and the one I'm looking at right here is The Magic by Rhonda Byrne, get a free copy on us. Just use our link. Just go to audibletrial.com/superagentslive and get a free copy. So for you, Amy, do you have a personal habit that you think has contributed to your success?
A personal habit.
This is your.
I would say it's just having a coach, doing what my coach tells me to do.
Being consistent.
That's my habit.
Okay, that's awesome.
Just following direction.
Well, here's the deal, Amy. I always encourage my audience, if they've gotten anything out of this episode, and I'm sure they have, to reach out and say thank you for taking time out of your busy day. We know that you're out there closing 200 deals. So
I would love that. I would love to hear from anybody.
So where can people find you?
They can. Okay, well, you know what? I'm going to give them my email address.
Okay.
It's amy@mypinnaclehomes.com.
Perfect. And listen, everybody, if you're driving your car, riding your bike, walking your dog, that's fine. All this will be on our show notes for Amy Moline at superagentslive.com. And Amy, look, I'll be the first to kick off the thank you train. Hey, thanks for taking the time out.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
All right, let's stay in touch.
All right, thank you so much.
See ya.
Okay, bye.
Let's go.